Kevin McCloskey and Billy Woodward coming to you with Stable Talk week number 4. Billy, the Stallions finished their non-conference schedule with a 2-2 record, with cannot be described as anything other than a heartbreaking loss to East Duplin, literally coming down to the final seconds of the game.
Absolutely. I told Melvin and the guys in the broadcast booth after the first quarter, I said, we haven't called Laquan Brown's name but twice in this first quarter. Battle Holly is keeping him for the second half, and that's exactly what he did, and then Battle came on. Now, granted, they had to get the onside kick in the second half to fall their way, and it did, and then Brown did the leg work all the way into the end zone for that first score, and then we lost that second one again, onside kick, and again Brown took it to the down and got most of the yardage for him there.
Yeah, go back to the beginning of the game. The Stallions held them 3 and out on the opening possession, took control, marched down the field like a hot knife through butter. B.J. Jordan carries it in, get the 2-point conversion, and things are looking great. The rest of the first half, pretty much a stalemate. We go into halftime up 8-0.
Absolutely. And again, not to take anything away from what the Stallions were trying to do, but East Duplin decided to play defense that first half, and they were saving Laquan Brown. That was it in a nutshell. He did nothing offensively in that first half at all, and he was fresh and ready to go. The Stallions had their opportunities at times, even to do a little more in the first half, but just could not get that push. They relied tonight mostly on BJ, and we needed a few more running backs to be in there to keep them honest on the other side.
Yeah, turnovers. In the third quarter, the wheels literally came off the bus. As you mentioned earlier, the Stallions received the kickoff, fumbled it, East Duplin scores. Stallions received the next kickoff, fumbled it, East Duplin scores. Next thing you know, we're down 2 scores, and we're fighting ourselves out of a hole. Had to get out of our game. Went to the passing game. Looked pretty ugly to start with, but they finally got it going. Darius and the boys finally got it going.
Absolutely. They got a few breaks. We also should have had a couple of other breaks that didn't go our way, but that's football, and those happen at times. I was real proud with the fact that the kids kept their heads up and kept playing and pursuing, and after being down 22-8, to come back and make it a game, to be honest with you, there at the end. We're 2-2 just like we were a year ago. The only difference is this time we have a win against Wallace Rose Hill that we didn't have a year ago. Yeah. And so things are a lot better that we're 2-2 instead of 1-3 like a year ago. I said 2-2 like a year ago, a minute ago, but it's 2-2. We're not injured. We got a week off now, and then we start into the conference play.
Yeah, and another thing different, although this was a loss, and a loss is a loss, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 50. Last year was 31-7.
Absolutely.
And, I think, and when the playoffs come out, it's highly unlikely we would get matched against East Duplin again, but sure, I would love to play them again.
I think that you will see them as the 2A, 2AA when it goes, and we'll be a 2A, and we'll probably be in that same bracket with Wallace Rose Hill again when we get that far down the road. To be honest with you, a year ago, Battle Holly won the game in the first half. It was 31-7 at halftime, and that's basically where it ended up. Battle did nothing in the second half to run up the score. Class act on the part of Coach Holly, but then again, when you come from the father that's the legend, Jack Holly, you learn how to do that thing. And that's exactly, tonight Battle, I guess, decided he was going to keep Brown and go to second half and see what happens, unless things got different in the first half. But he kept it close, went to the locker room, brought it out in the second half.
Let's talk about some of the Stallion standouts that led the comeback. We already mentioned Darius Thomas with the passing. Some receivers, number 10, Jarique Foster, with a couple of huge catches. Even the last touchdown was just incredible. I hope my video does it justice. Some other catches, and that set up the final. And also, who was it? Number 44, Zach Dugan, really got the Stallions going. Caught a little swing pass, and the big man was bumbling down the sidelines, took it all the way to the goal line to get the Stallions back in the game. Who else do you know? Your comments on those guys?
Dugan went that 78 yards, and I was hoping he was going to get those last 2 so he'd get the whole 80 yards out of this thing, and he did. Also tonight, I thought a couple of good plays in the flats thrown over to Antonio Simmons offensively. Antonio had a couple of good one-on-one tackles out in the open field defensively as well. Isaiah Anderson again had some big hits tonight and some stops at deal. And Hatchett had a couple of good hits defensively that stopped a couple of drives for East Duplin that they were moving forward. So the defense was doing their job finally, but it was just a little too much too late.
Yeah. And this was a hard-hitting game. You could hear it down on the sidelines. The pads were popping on both sides. And that's off these teams. That's the toughest team we've played by far that I've seen. I mean, those guys, they just play hard. I got to respect them. There's no doubt I respect them. Let's talk about it. It's going to be talked about probably for a good long time. The call to go for 2 at the end of the game, we didn't get it. Personally, I agree with the call. Just came up a foot short.
That's exactly. When it first happened, I said we're going to go for the 1 point. The sure thing was Ethan and go to overtime. And then I saw that they were going, and I thought, okay, if he can just get, if the front line can move them, maybe BJ can get in there. You come up a foot short. Remember I said back at Wallace Rose Hill when they went 4th and 1 a couple of times and 4th and 2. Yeah. It worked that time. He'll try it again, and it's not going to work, and they're going to almost want to crucify him because he went this time. That's the way it goes there. He could have done it tonight again, and it goes in there. We win 23-21, right. I mean 22, and they're saying, hey, he did it again. Right. So it's going to toss. I agree. I agree with the call for what he did to go and try to win it in regulation.
Yeah. So good thing next week's a bye week, so we get a week off. It's probably a good time for the Stallions just to sort of, get some rest, heal up, and get them mentally just to get this loss out of their heads, get prepared for the conference. Now let's be honest, the conference games, I don't see any single game that's going to be anywhere near as tough as this, but still you have to come to play every week.
Absolutely, every one of them. I've always said since we've been, and this is only the second year we've been in this, but every time we played a team last year, this is one of the weaker conferences east of 95, especially in the 2A bracket there. But you still have got to come and play. They're going to be shooting their A games at us every time because a win against Southwest in most of these programs that we're going to be seeing the rest of this time will be their playoff game and their playoff win. Most of them will not make it to the playoffs, unfortunately. And so we've got to be ready each week and be ready to play and get better and get the in sync so that we're ready for the playoffs.
Yep. All right, well, let's get home and get some rest. Everybody get themselves together and have a safe holiday weekend, and pay attention to the news, guys, because that hurricane looks like it's coming. We're going to have to batten down the hatches here in eastern North Carolina.
It appears that way.
All right, bye. Good night.